Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our service this morning on this wintry day. I don't know about you, but I can hear the winter wind howling behind me intermittently. I am the Reverend William Levwood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm so happy to be with you this morning. As we do this service. And it's been a long time since we've done an online only service. I think we've got the everything queued up, but give us some grace if things don't run as smoothly because we're a little out of practice. Let's take a deep breath right now. I don't have a bowl to ring, but we'll just take a deep breath together to center ourselves for worship. We open as we do every Sunday in welcome to the ancestral people of this land, acknowledging that our church, like all of Burke, rests on the unceded territory of the Manahoac tribe of the Great Sioux Nation. We seek healing and the realization of justice with the people of this land who live on and their descendants, the present-day members of the Monacan Indian Nation, the Patawomic Indian Tribe of Virginia, and the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors as we move toward healing so that all together shall one day know full justice.
Welcome to Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Connie Diamont, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today, though I'd like to be in person rather than in my dining room. I hope you got a name tag on your Zoom tile, and if you need help with that, please let us know in the chat. If you aren't new to Accotink, do you see people across the top of the screen that you haven't seen before, and you'd like to meet them? By visiting this congregation, new members are in a transition moment, and people in transitions are more open to new friendships. Whether you are a longtime friend or a newcomer or something in between, we encourage you to stay for our social hour online after the service. We're so delighted that you decided to join us today, and welcome.
We are so happy you decided to join us today, and we had a wonderful Christmas pageant last Sunday where we explored A Christmas Carol and the deep messages that it has about the hope that we can transform ourselves if we are reflective. Next Sunday, we'll look at examples of how we can choose hope over and over again, examples from history of times when small groups and movements of people have chosen hope in challenging times to help us through these challenging times. And our Christmas Eve service will be at 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve, and then we'll have a Saturnalia service that will be interactive and intergenerational on December 28th. Today, we're going to go hopefully a little deep into exploring hope in blue and green, with the idea that hope can take many forms, maybe even a rainbow of forms. So with that in mind, I'm going to light the chalice that I have right here. And after I do that, we'll put up the slide to say our chalice lighting words together. These are the words of the value of equity from our 6 values. Please stay muted, but say them with me. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. As an expression of the value of equity, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love.
I'm Michelle Anderson, and I use the pronouns she, her. I am your Director of Children's Spiritual Development, and I am just excited to be with you this morning. I'm going to tell you the story of Lewis Latimer, the light of hope. The story comes from our own UU history and is about the brilliant, modest, and still little known inspirational UU, Lewis Latimer, who literally created light for us. The son of escaped slaves, Latimer became one of the first African American inventors and helped found the Unitarian Church in Flushing, New York. Once upon a time, not too long ago, there was a boy named Lewis Latimer. Lewis didn't grow up with everything handed to him. In fact, life was often very hard. His parents had escaped from slavery, and when he was little, his family sometimes had to move from house to house just to stay safe. Even though Lewis didn't go to fancy schools, he loved to learn. He drew, he tinkered, and he dreamed. When he was only 16, he even joined the Navy by lying about his age because he wanted to help fight for freedom during the Civil War. When he came home, he found a job at a law office that worked with inventions. At first, he was just the office boy, the kid who swept floors and ran errands. But Lewis had hope. He watched carefully, learned how to draw technical designs, and practiced late at night with tools he bought himself. Slowly but surely, he became so good at drawing inventions that he rose all the way to being the head draftsman. But even then, he wasn't paid as much as the white workers. He could have given up. He could have decided it wasn't fair, and it wasn't. But instead, Lewis kept choosing and making hope with his own hands and heart. One day, Lewis helped Alexander Graham Bell design the very first telephone. Later, he worked on the electric light bulb. You've heard of Thomas Edison, right? Well, Edison's first light bulbs burned out after just a couple of days. Not very helpful. But Lewis figured out how to make the filaments, the part inside the bulb, last much, much longer. Because of him, light bulbs became something ordinary families could actually use. Think about that. The reason we can turn on a lamp in our homes today is partly because Lewis Latimer never gave up and because he chose hope where others only saw problems. But here's something important. Most history books didn't include his name. Why? Because he was Black. Even though he helped change the world, many people ignored him. Yet Lewis kept on shining. He wrote poems, played music, painted pictures, and even helped start a Unitarian church in Queens, New York. His portrait still hangs there today. Lewis once wrote about electric light. Like the light of the sun, it beautifies all things on which it shines, and is no less welcome in the palace than in the humblest home. What I love about this story is how it reminds us that hope doesn't just appear. We don't just find it lying around like seashells on a beach. Hope is something we make, something we choose, together and inside ourselves. Lewis made hope by working hard, by believing in his dreams, and by sharing his light with others. And if he could do that, so can we. Every time we help someone, Every time we imagine a better future, every time we create something new, we are making hope. So next time you flip on a light switch, remember Lewis Latimer, the man who helped bring light into the world and who shows us that hope is not only found, but made.
Lots of laughs. Everybody's saying that hell's the hippest way to go. Well, I don't think so, but I'm gonna take a look around it though. Blue, I love you. Blue, here is a shell for you. Inside you'll hear a sigh, a foggy lullaby. There is your song from me.
We heard music earlier from Joni Mitchell's the title track from her 1971 album Blue. It didn't win any awards when it came out in 1971, but over the years it's come to be known as one of the best examples of songwriting and albums ever. In fact, in the most recent 2023 ranking by Rolling Stone magazine of the top 500 albums of all time, it's ranked number 3, ahead of the Beatles, ahead of Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. And it's an album that Joni said she felt like she was like the cellophane wrapper from a carton of cigarettes. That's how much she felt like she stripped away and bared her soul on this album, Blue. And I think in that album we see an example of many kinds of hope, and a hope that is robust and doesn't take away from the sorrow that life has within it. I want to share an idea from Mara Vanderloot, who wrote a recent book called Hopeful Pessimism. She talks about the idea that there's 2 kinds of hope, which she calls blue hope and green hope. Green hope is that optimistic hope that looks towards the possible future, that is grounded in what we can accomplish, and then calls us to nurture those possibilities into existence. I love that it's named Green Hope because it brings to my mind the images of plants, of trees, of little sprouts of parsley and all kinds of foliage growing up green, of the evergreens that we see in the winter. And it reminds us that there is this amazing world, even in the challenging times, that provides us with so much of what we need. And this community of human beings that is interdependent, and which through human history has developed schools and hospitals and communities, congregations like this one, and so many other ways that we have learned to grow and support each other and share wisdom through the ages. And with that image of green hope, there's this sense of positivity and optimism, but also this nurturing. Just like we nurture plants to grow and nurture children to grow and nurture each other in growth throughout our lives. And then there's blue hope. Blue hope is that hopeful pessimism that guards us against the risk of overemphasizing optimism in our hope. There is the risk that if we overemphasize optimism, if we put too much focus on what we can accomplish or think we can accomplish, that then the whole hope, the green hope, will fall apart like a house of cards whenever we're not able to reach the goal that we work so hard to reach. But blue hope is a different kind of hope. It's a blues hope, as Cornel West would describe it. It's a hope that is focused on the fact that we are called to make hope real through our actions, regardless of whether those actions get us the outcome that we want. It's more akin to faith, you could say, because it's upon a foundation of which we just do what's right, and we have a sense of trust in something greater than ourselves, and in that long arc of the moral universe that it bends towards justice in the long arc. When I think of blue hope, I think of the sadness and the steely-eyed reality, looking reality in its face and still remaining hopeful. I feel as if we're on the open sea rather than nurturing the good green earth. We're on the open sea, and even when the storms come, that we're on the boat together and that we're going to do what we need to do to get through the storm as if our life depended on it, because all of our lives do depend on it. And whether we make it to shore or not, we're going to show up with hope. We're going to show up together to get ourselves through the storm. And there's a valiant courage in that blue hope. But I think, as grateful as I am to Mara Vanderloop for giving us this sense of this image of green hope and blue hope, there's many, many colors of hope. There's an album I really love by Avishai Cohen. There's two Avishai Cohens who are musicians, a bassist and a trumpet player. This album is by the trumpet player. It's called Seven, and it goes through the colors of the rainbow, starting with violet through indigo all the way to red. And each piece is a duet, except for that first one of violet, which is a harp. And then every time he goes to the next piece of music, it adds an instrument and takes away an instrument. So the indigo is a piece with harp and violin. And then the harp goes away and blue is piano and violin, and then the violin goes away and you have the piano with a bass clarinet for that beautiful green. They're long, meditative pieces. I remember listening to them with my older sister one day in her apartment and her saying, "What is this? This is just such wonderful music, so peaceful and calming." Even though every piece has a different tonal quality to it, there's something peaceful about all of it. That is until you get to yellow. Yellow is trumpet and bass clarinet. It was at the point when we got to yellow when my sister said, "I'm not sure I like this album anymore. Do we really need to keep listening to this?" Keep in mind, each piece is 20 minutes long or 21 minutes long. So we've been listening for over an hour by the time we got to yellow. So I like to think of hope coming in all these different colors, that there's not only blue hope and green hope, but there's a bright yellow hope that's brash and brassy. And if you're in a contemplative mood, that's not the hope you want to feel. But there's also a red hope. Maybe that's an angry hope that calls you to strong resistance and outrage and the hard work of justice. There's so many different kinds of hope. Perhaps it even goes beyond the sense of colors. When I lived in Charlottesville after college in my modern dancing days, I used to do this, invite people over, and we'd sit around a table, and I had bought many different kinds of juice. Coconut and apricot and cherry. And I would ask people to drink one of the juices and then to sing a song or improvise a monologue or do a little dance to express the feeling that that juice evoked for them. So I mention that just to show that maybe there's a sour cherry hope. There's a lemonade hope. There's more kinds of hope than we can imagine. And also, as powerful as the image of colors or juices are, I want to invite us to imagine hope as if it's a living being, as if it's an icon, like a statue, but a statue come to life. I think this is the power of imagining God or divinity as a personification in a personal sense. There's difficulties and problems with that as well. But the one thing that when we imagine the divine, or in this case, I would say if we imagine hope as an icon, as a figure, as a being, then it's not just blue hope or green hope or red hope, but hope. Hope can be the kind of hope that we need in each moment. It's like the icon comes to life and sings the song of the hope that we need in the moment. A hope imbued with sadness or with outrage or with optimism. And as the moment changes, our hope can change with it. The dance of hope, the song of hope can be any color or character that we need it to be. And then hope becomes a full thing, an alive thing that lives and grows within us like that tree of green hope, but also like that rocking hope on the sea, not only that stormy sea, but a comforting, rocking blue hope that lulls us to sleep. All the different images of hope, all the different expressions of hope are available to us. So I say that as we move through the seasons, not just the winter that we are in now, both the physical winter and the societal winter, but as we look towards the spring and the summer and fall that will come, that we remember that we have within us and between us and amongst us all the different expressions of hope. And may we reach deeply inward and also reach out to each other when we need to find that living, active hope in all its splendor, in all its many expressions, green and blue and dark red and brown. May it be so. May we be among those who continue to make it so. Amen, 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 and blessed be.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Judy Usherson. This is because I'm recovering from detached retina. I'm healing well. I am so grateful to this congregation for continuing to support Just Neighbors, where I've been volunteering for probably over 6 years, answering the phone and doing intake and hearing the gut-wrenching stories of immigrants from all over this world who have come here and are seeking and need affordable legal help. As you can imagine, the need is even beyond belief now than ever before, but Just Neighbors gives them hope. And Just Neighbors continues to achieve success and is facing the challenges of the whole immigration issue. I'm honored to introduce Erin McKinney, Executive Director of Just Neighbors, who will share their successes and challenges in our region during these very stressful times.
Thank you. A year or so ago when I was here last, we knew we were getting an administration that was better prepared to attack immigrants and immigration process than they were 8 years earlier. While we anticipated many challenges, I don't think any of us imagined the ferocity of these attacks and how they would occur. What you see on the news is only part of it. In addition to the raids that include racial stereotyping and profiling, collecting citizens as well as other documented people in the roundups, we're also seeing many changes to even legal forms of immigration. And as you may have heard recently, there's 19 countries for whom folks who have been here for many years, all of their processing has been put on hold. And they're being re-vetted, even though they've been vetted many, many times. And this includes people who were literally ready to be sworn in for their citizenship. So that's just some examples of the changes that are happening with this administration. Just Neighbors has spent the last 29 years helping low-income immigrants, as Judy mentioned, helping them to navigate the ever-changing, and in today's world, daily and sometimes hourly changing rules. And today, more than ever, it's important that we continue to do this work. It's so critical to assist these folks, particularly the low income who cannot afford to hire private attorneys. And quite frankly, there's just never enough capacity to do that. Our attorneys stay on top of these legal changes and make sure that our clients are aware of them, how they impact them, help them to make the best decisions for them, whether it's to proceed or to defer the actions that they were planning on taking, and just helping to navigate the complexity of all of this. Even in the best of times, it's a complex system. And in these times, it's frighteningly complex. And so the work of Just Neighbors is really to, in fact, give hope. Our tagline is Hope Through Immigration Legal Services. And the resilience of our clients is what keeps us going every day. This is tough work. It's tough for the staff. It's tough for our volunteers, and especially when we have to say we can't help you. So I want to say thank you for your all's continued support. You've been doing this for a long time. We are truly grateful for that. You are giving hope to each and every one of our clients and to our staff, quite honestly. We need to know that folks are out here who know what we're doing and care and are passionate about this and are willing to advocate and fight on behalf of these folks who are truly being victimized in so many ways. We're truly grateful for your support, for your generosity, and know that you're making an impact on many, many lives. And our hope is that we'll serve more, again, another 1,500 or so clients in our fiscal and calendar years. And for those 1,500, it is truly life-changing. So again, we're grateful for your support. Thank you for volunteering, Judy, and others who have volunteered. We cannot do it without you. And thank you and blessings.
Just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. There'll be crocuses to bring to school tomorrow. Just a little green, like the nights when the northern lights perform. There'll be icicles and birthday clothes, and sometimes there'll be
As we extinguish our chalice, I invite you to join me in our community blessing with these words of David Bumbaugh. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences and beneath all of our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let's go out into the world inspired to share our values. Thank you.